cardio, weight training, strength training, Pilates, CrossFit. Which among these is the most effective exercising tool for getting rid of that stubborn body fat? Confusion? I went through the same dilemma during the initial period of my fitness career. In this video, we will try to figure out how the body responds to the stimulus of the above mentioned physical activities. Hi, my name is Nikesh and welcome to my channel. Before we begin, one thing I would like to clarify. If I'm referring to fat loss, I'm solely talking about the excess stored body fat and not weight loss, which includes both muscle and fat. So without any further hold up, let's get started. Firstly, to simplify things, we have to bifurcate the exercises into aerobic and anaerobic. As discussed in the previous video, aerobic exercise means any physical activity performed for a prolonged period of time in the presence of oxygen. Example would be running, jogging, swimming, Zumba. And anaerobic exercise includes weight training, CrossFit, high intensity interval training, and this exercise is performed in the absence of oxygen for a shorter period. Now we know which exercise comes under aerobic and anaerobic and how this bifurcation of exercises helps in fat loss. We would be discussing that in detail throughout the length of this video. I have also illustrated an example on a board towards the end of this video in case if you are interested. Just to simplify stuff, you can have a look at that as well. Let's take an example of two individuals, say A and B, who have a different workout regimen. A does 1 hour of cardio 5 times in a week, running, cycling. There are many more variations of aerobic workout. B does 1 hour of anaerobic workout, CrossFit, weight training 3 times in a week along with 2 days of cardio workout. Now the cascade of events which would happen for A and B during and post workout would be unalike. Let's try to understand why and how. During any physical activity, there is some labor work that is required to be done at microscopic level by the muscle fibers. Let's call them laborers. These muscle fibers contract to cause any movement to happen in space. Contraction. Now, how many laborers are required to be hired is determined by the contractor, technically speaking the motor unit or motor neuron, depending upon the physical task in hand. Maximum contraction would need more and more laborers, muscle force, and simultaneously more contractors. Lesser the contraction, lesser would be the need of muscle force. So as and when the intensity or demand of any exercise or workout increases, so does the supply or muscle fiber recruitment. Now if we recall the activities done by A and B, the task in hand for the body during running is quite different from weight training, and accordingly they differ in recruitment of muscle fibers and motor units. Running requires lesser contraction of skeletal muscle fibers compared to say squats and deadlifts, which involves maximum contraction of skeletal muscles. In short, aerobic workout involves submaximal contraction, wherein anaerobic workout involves maximum contraction, and accordingly they differ in recruitment of muscle fibers and motor units and in influencing fat loss. Let's use A's aerobic exercise, say running as an example. When A starts running, there is this demand on the body for oxygen. However, the body is not able to supply to 100% of the oxygen demand instantly. So it borrows oxygen from other muscle cells which are not in much use during running to fulfill the energy demand. So the initial energy demand or oxygen deficit is met anaerobically and not aerobically to other energy system, the ATP, PC or the lactate system, to make up for the shortfall in energy demand. So we are using the system that does not rely on oxygen for a short period. The body takes time to get us up to the point where it's supplying sufficient oxygen for the activity to be performed entirely aerobically, and now prefers to use the aerobic energy system and fat as a fuel to provide energy for the continuation of exercise, in our case running. Post exercise, in the resting phase, the body utilizes additional fuel to clear off the lactate or the lactic acid which was produced when A started running and when we use the lactate system. So this byproduct, the lactic acid, then gets cleared off from the bloodstream, resynthesized into glycogen. Glycogen is the stored form of glucose which is stored in the muscle and the liver cells for another bout of exercise. On the other hand, B who does weight training or anaerobic exercises such as squats, deadlifts or CrossFit, high intensity interval training would be making use of the ATP, PC and the lactate energy system to provide energy throughout the length of the exercise. This happens due to lack of oxygen and the body prefers to use glucose as the predominant fuel. Now this is where EPOC makes sense, or afterburn effect, or we should call it excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, In short, can we say that in any of these processes or any of these exercises that we perform, may it be aerobic or anaerobic, post workout, there is this demand for additional oxygen. Firstly, to clear off the oxygen debt which was created if the activity performed was aerobic in nature, example running, and also to clear off the byproducts of the lactate system if the activity performed was anaerobic in nature. Now this is important. The demand for additional oxygen post workout during the resting phase would determine how much of the stored body fat and the aerobic energy system would be utilized by the body to help with the replenishment of the ATP-PC stores, the repair work of the damaged muscle fibers, to clear off the byproduct of the lactate system such as lactic acid from the bloodstream and muscle tissue, at the same time sparing other macronutrients to help with the replenishment of depleted glycogen stores and growth of muscle tissue. So this demand for excess oxygen post workout depends upon the intensity of workout and recruitment of muscle fibers. BMR or basal metabolic rate means the rate at which body burns calories at a relative rest. The elevation of the basal metabolic rate and keeping it elevated for longer duration above its normal range post exercise determines the effectiveness of any fat loss program. So the type of exercise or workout which would create maximum demand for energy production and recruitment of muscle fibers and motor units during workout and post workout for repair of muscle tissue, replenishment of glucose or glycogen stores, for clearance of lactate or lactic acid from the bloodstream and muscle tissue would be more productive and effective in enabling the body to utilize the aerobic energy system and stored body fat as fuel for energy production or ATP synthesis, because the body needs energy to perform all of the work that I just mentioned above, and all of this will finally lead to reduction in stored body fat. And how macronutrients and nutrition plays a role in reducing body fat, this we would be discussing in another video. So in today's video we learned how different exercises, may it be aerobic or anaerobic, vary in muscle fiber recruitment or motor unit recruitment, and use of different energy systems such as the ATP-PC, the lactate system, the aerobic energy system, how they differ in epoch or afterburn effect, and ultimately how they vary in affecting the basal metabolic rate during the resting phase, all of which determines the quality and effectiveness of a fat loss program. So that's all we have in this video. Thank you so much all for watching this video till the end. Hope to see you all soon. Take care of yourselves, eat wisely and train hard. If we look at this example on the board, we have A who does a aerobic workout say 5 times in a week, and B who does an aerobic workout, say weight training, strength training for 3 days plus some cardio for 2 days. So A who usually does running, and B who prefers going to the gym and doing some weightlifting or weight training. Sometimes he also does high intensity interval training. So when A does his workout, running in our case, when he starts running, the initial energy that's required, that is provided through the ATP-PC and the lactate system, and we have some maximal contraction of the skeletal muscle fibers. Okay, this system, the ATP-PC and the lactate system, is used by the body for a short period, because the body here cannot directly use the aerobic energy system. When the body prefers to use the aerobic energy system, it mostly prefers using fat as a fuel. But now, since the body is not able to provide supply to 100% of the oxygen demand instantly when A starts running, this system is used, and the preferred fuel at that point of time would be glucose. Here, when this system is used, the body also produces some byproduct, the lactate or lactic acid. Later, as the exercise progresses, the body switches to aerobic energy system and now can cope up with the oxygen demand and can use fat as a fuel throughout the length of the exercise. With B, the energy system that's mostly used is the ATP-PC and the lactate system, because there is no presence of oxygen here. So the body prefers to use glucose as the fuel and the system. And here also the body produces lactate, the byproduct. Okay, the difference between both these activities is motor unit and muscle fiber recruitment. motor unit or motor neuron. Motor unit or motor neuron will decide how many muscle fibers would be needed for this exercise to progress. So with submaximal contraction, the body will use slightly lesser muscle fibers compared to say squats, deadlifts, bench presses. Here there will be maximum contraction of skeletal muscle fibers. So the body will recruit maximum muscle fibers and motor units. So after the exercise is over, epoch that happens, excess post exercise oxygen consumption, or we call it afterburn effect. Here the body has to repay the oxygen death, the oxygen that was borrowed from other cells which were not in use during running. So the body has to repay that. For that it will consume more oxygen post exercise, plus it also has to clear the lactate, the byproduct. It also has to do the repair work. For that also it needs energy. So all these processes post workout demand energy, and that's when I'll get to that. And with the same with anaerobic workout, post workout the same thing will happen. Repair work, clearance of lactate, oxygen death, repayment of the oxygen death. But the difference here is that the body will need more oxygen here compared to say A, because the micro trauma that has happened, microscopic damage to the muscle fibers is more here compared to this activity. So more energy, more ATP. By the way, ATP is the currency, the energy currency that the body uses, adenosine triphosphate. We are not going to get into the depth of that, but that's the currency, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So after we have this epoch happening, the main goal is to keep the BMR elevated, basal metabolic rate, the rate at which body burns calories at relative rest, or BMR, basal metabolic rate. If you compare both the activities, there is less repair work here, maximum repair work here. It remains elevated for a shorter period post exercise because the demand is not that great to do the repair work for the replenishment of the glycogen stores and for some other function. But here there is maximum demand for everything, for the repair work, so the BMR remains elevated here. So that means it will keep using the aerobic energy system and fat as a fuel. So here we would be using fat because we have oxygen being supplied now to the system. So it will use fat as a fuel, the stored body fat, to do all this. And in this process for replenishment of ATP stores, the glycogen synthesis, by the way, glycogen is the stored form of glucose within our liver and muscle cells, which they can use for another round of exercise. For protein synthesis, so all these processes could be done with other macronutrients which would be spared if the body prefers to use fat. The other macronutrients would be protein and carbohydrates in case if you are carb adapted. So that's how the difference between both the activities is motor unit and muscle fiber recruitment, excess post exercise oxygen consumption, and accordingly both these activities will affect the BMR. That's the difference. And during the resting phase, the body prefers to use fat as the fuel to do all of this, and that's how we could see the reduction in fat provided the nutrition is also in place.